Hi folks, Glissamel Designs here. This is part 14 of the HK 1/32 scale B-25B Mitchell build. So as you can see, we are working on the engines and it is coming along really nicely. Now it is a lot of work with the engines, more than I anticipated, but that's okay. That's, all part of the process here. And I must say I'm very pleased with the progress thus far. We're going to get into that in this video. I'm not too sure how long this video is going to last, but just sit back and enjoy because there's quite a bit to cover on this one. So basically, we got the right engine on. It's not glued on just because I'm not quite done with it. There's still a lot of weathering and exhaust, that kind of stuff to go on. And now I am using oils, obviously, for a lot of my weathering. However, I'm not going to use oils for like the exhaust and that kind of stuff, right? I'm going to use a whole other host of materials for that, right? I don't want to keep using the same stuff over and over again just for realism's sake. So I'm going to use different materials when I go to use like the exhaust, that kind of stuff. And then of course, it's been sitting on the carrier deck for a couple of weeks, that kind of thing. So I'm going to do salt effects, things like that. But we'll get into that at a different date. Today we are talking about the engines themselves. And obviously we had to do a lot of work to them, especially for these covers. If you go back to my earlier videos, I had to take off all those little nubs and fill them in, as you can see right there. But the end result, as you can see, looks like that. So very, very happy with how that turned out. So we're going to get into that in this video. We're also going to get into the exhaust, which is down there. As you can see, it's sticking out, a little burnt brown piece there. So we're going to get into that and whatnot. So basically, to start off, you can see that this piece right here, this green, and then of course the gray, is not weathered at all. And if you're wondering why, from my understanding with talking with Mr. Briscoe, this here was actually painted just prior to the mission. And the reason being is because when these B-25s all came together from different parts of the country, they all had their own squadron colors, which were, for just example sakes like that. So just prior to the mission, they painted them like that. So there's going to be very, very minimal wear on that. And that was very easy to do, right? Because we're painting each of those panels individually, I was able just to paint that and put these panels on separate, which we wanted to do, right? Because we wanted to do the paint chipping and painting prior to installing those panels, right? So I'm kind of glad we did it that way because it would be very hard to get that paint chipping all along the panel's edge if we glued those panels on beforehand, right? So that worked out rather well. So I'm going to pick this up. Now again, the nacelle and everything is not glued on, so if it falls, then that is that. But just to give you an idea of how it looks, right? It is definitely starting to look like a B, especially as far as the engine goes. Now again, as far as the paint chipping goes, that is just a Sharpie. Very, very, carefully placed Sharpie. Just gonna get this back onto camera here. Now I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, how did I get that exhaust piece right there? Because that doesn't come with any models whatsoever other than the Accurate Miniatures one. And actually, you guys are looking at the Accurate Miniatures one, right? So before we talk about that, I'm just going to take this engine piece off because it's just wanting to come right off because I didn't glue it on. So let's just have a good look around at that and at the panel pieces. So good week's worth of work into this because of all the discoloration and weathering and whatnot. And then of course all the time and effort we did on detailing the engine itself. And of course don't forget to color the inside panels too, because you will see on the inside of there. Now obviously the light's having a hard time getting in there, but you can definitely get it get a look inside there. So make sure you paint the inside of those panels. So there we go. Now, talking about that piece right there. Okay, now I was racking my brain for the longest time how I'm going to make that piece. And then I was looking at historical photos of that piece right there. And I'm starting to wonder if the one they made for the Accurate Miniature Kit is oversized, because if you actually look at the one on my model and that one right there, it is pretty much to scale, I would say, if not to scale. Right? So I went ahead and just used the one from my Accurate Miniatures kit, because it is, measurement wise, I would say more accurate to the 1/32 scale than it is to the 1/48 scale. So I went ahead and put it onto there. So if you look at the picture, obviously, which I know you guys are looking at right now because you're watching this video, I went ahead and used that. So that's what I went with for that. Now, where you are going to run into trouble is on the left engine, because the one on the left engine is longer. So I am going to have to take this one for this engine and make it longer, which is going to be a lot easier because the basic shape is there. So that's fine. I'm going to have to make this one a little longer. So, and obviously it'll go on to here, and then, you know, it'll stick out at least about this much longer, which is fine to do. So basically, I'm just going to repeat for this engine here. I'm going to paint this up, obviously, right? And then leave this, you know, unweathered. Might do a little bit of paint chipping, you know, just minor, as I did on this one. As you can see, there's just a little bit of paint chipping on the inside. Very, very, very minor. And then once the actual engines are on, that's when I'll start to do the engine exhaust and things like that. But you got to be very, very careful with the engine exhaust, especially if you're using certain materials, but we'll get into that, because once it's on, it is on. So you want to be absolutely sure you get it correct, because there's no coming back from that. So I think that's all I wanted to cover in this video. You know, it's a lot of work with these engines, but I can't really glue this on until I get the landing gear in place, because this is the kind of build where the landing gear have to be in before you put the engine on. Basically, the nacelle, you know, kind of comes in, turns, and fits on. But as far as fit goes, you know, the fit's real nice. As you can see, you got the different panel colors, you know, this discoloring nicely. But very happy with how this is being built so far, and very happy on the engine covers and whatnot. As you can see, it is definitely no longer looking like a J whatsoever. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and definitely looking forward to your comments on this one. Thanks so much. Bye.